And I know we're trading a linear market, but of course, there's going to be times where market's going to be going down and we're going to have to short in certain aspects. Okay, so boom. So here's how we short. So we know for a long, I like to make sure that there's normally resistance above me and say CRM, for example, I like to trade a stock with some resistance above. Boom, CRM, for example. And say if I'm trading something like this here, we got a break of this trend line leading up to this resistance right here. Okay, almost at take profit, gonna hit probably in the next day, inshallah. Okay, so boom. So we know the long, all we do is go to an area of resistance, draw the trend line diagonally, and you can go ahead and get yourself a long gap fill setup. So boom. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about the opposite end of this. And that's going to go ahead and be shorting. So to short, I like to make sure that the setup is pretty specific in order to short. Okay, so we know longing is pretty simple. Longing, I like to just zoom out. I like to make sure this stock has been trending for at least a month. So I can see stock has been going up since April. I can see an ultimate low being put in here. And then from here, I see a higher low. And I'm starting to see higher lows being put in. Higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. Had a major sweep down. Okay, but then that still included us for to be higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. So I could see that within the last month, we are bullish. Okay, and on the trend line here, we're getting above the area of resistance. Okay, so that's how we know how to long. So in order to short, we just pretty much reverse engineer this. Okay, so in order to short, the setup has to look right. Okay, there's going to be some criteria that I'm going to be looking for when I want to short. Okay, I'm not just going to be shorting anything on the block. I'm also not going to be longing anything either. So say for a short setup here, I'm going to want at least 2 points of support to line up. Okay, so take this for example. So I'm going to want at least 2 areas of support to line up to each other. Okay, so if I draw this trend line here, I can go ahead and see that this area reacted heavily downward on Apple. And then on Apple, this area decided to press down right here. Okay. So I like to find trend line setups with 2 accurate areas. Okay. Boom. And then I also see this area of resistance up here too. Okay. So gotcha. Gotcha. So it's going to go ahead and be break of structure. So one of 2 things here. So this area of support was held. Okay. Okay. So right here, this area of support, it was held. Okay. Price decided to bounce. So we have this end of the trend line here and then this end of the trend line here. Okay. It kind of relates to these 2 areas of support right here. Okay. And then I could also see like a tiny point of resistance right here too. So price decided to stay within this relative area and then bounce again. Now, here is how I would short on the trend line. So I know objectively, price wants to try and get to this resistance up here. But price could also break below the trend line. So if price breaks below the trend line, right, before it gets up here, then I know price could give me a good opportunity to short back to the support. Okay, so if price were to break past the trend line, I know most likely I could at least short back to the support because price might want to test here again or go even lower. So in order for me to short, I like to find 2 areas of support. and then draw them diagonally, see how the trend line glides on them. And if the trend line gets broken, I could take it into the first area of support. And then that's how I like to go ahead and short. And we'll go through another example here too. And you could also, in a context like this too, say I drew my trend line like this between this area of resistance all the way up here with this point of resistance right here. Okay, I see price is now above the trend line too. So now I have both sides lined up. Okay, so I know if price breaks down below, then I have my short. I know if price rides above this trend line, the yellow trend line, then I'm bullish. But if price breaks below the blue trend line, then I'm bearish. And boom, let's go over another example here of how I would like to go ahead and short. Exactly. Right. 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 Exactly. Same thing with this. With this trade. Yeah, literally. Just inverted. You're a pro. Literally just that. With rubric here, I marked this area of resistance, take profit got smashed, boom, and then reversal hit. Okay. So here, price deciding to go ahead and break this trend line. Price most likely wants to go ahead and fill in this area of support right here. Okay. Especially if price did something like this too. And I love, so you see how price broke out and then wicked up, but then it's still underneath. I love setups like this because this is showing me that price definitely wants to push down further. So price could easily just push down further. Literally. And it's just for fear, you know, literally. And this is why we don't trade with stop loss, because you're directional. If price does certain things like break the trend line, you're most likely going to be right in a direction. But stop loss is only going to be affected is if you care about getting wicked back up on. So all those people who got wicked back up on got destroyed for no reason. And the reason why, like, especially like why you just have to go off your criteria and have to just have a big stop loss or no stop loss if you're on options, then you have to just trust your view. Okay, because as you can see, the trend line got broken. Okay, even though you got wicked back on, you're still ended up down here, and price still most likely wants to travel here because the trend line wouldn't have wanted to be broken in the first place. So I believe price wants to now travel down. You could buy like a 2 days expiration if you wanted to and catch like a heavy dump, because puts for some reason like to happen really fast. So then price can go back on sale and then people buy back up. So it's going to be some really, no, not really. Not really. Say something like this. No. Say something like Walmart, for example. This is something I marked out here. So for Walmart, let me delete this. So for Walmart, I can see the heavy area of resistance all the way up here. Okay. And I could see price bouncing off 3 heavy areas of resistance. Okay. So I have 1, 2, 3 heavy areas of support, I meant to say. Okay, so from all these places, price bounced up, up. So price bounced up from all the support. So as you can see, when you see supports in a diagonal line, this is how you know you can short for sure. So when you see supports in a diagonal line like this, if price were to go ahead and break, you would be able to go ahead and take it to the next support. Exactly, for sure. It's cooked. It's just cooked. It's cooked. So boom. So if price were to go ahead and break the trend line here and a downwards momentum, so I have 3 heavy diagonal breaks. Price were to break the trend line, I think price would at least go ahead and just gap fill depending on where the trend line breaks. But once it does, it would try and gap fill each level of these supports, and each support is a take profit level. Okay. So with shorts, we definitely don't want to be greedy. Shorts is really just going to be some quick bread, just in for maybe 1 to like 3 days, catch the move down and use that back into puts for later. So shorting, we definitely don't want to be overcooking our stay, because we can't ever forget that the goal of the market is to go up. So shorts, we can't ever be greedy. So yeah, take something like this too, for example, right? Real, for real, for real, for real. There really just isn't. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And for real, and even back testing like we talked about here, even if I just drew the trend line like that, you know, off of these 3 points, 1, 2, 3. As you can see, as soon as the trend line breaks, we even got a retest off the trend line too. That's how you know. A lot of the times you'll get retest. If you get a retest off the trend line, you knew you drew it right. That's 100%. It's kind of hard to draw it wrong, but if you get a retest off the trend line, you most likely you drew that right. Okay, so boom. So price will go ahead and break down. Yeah, gotcha. So you can either wait for, if with shorts, no, with shorts, I like to just go ahead and enter, because if the area of support breaks, we most likely want to go down. But with longs, I like to wait for more confirmation sometimes. Especially since my longs, I plan to hold for like longer and catch the whole sweep up. But for shorts, you could hit take profit in like 1 or 2 days. So right here, as soon as the support got broken, or as soon as the trend line got broken, boom, boom, that would have been first take profit smashed. And then if that take profit got destroyed, boom, then the second area of support right here on the trend line wanted to get hit too. And as you can see, we ended up clearing that too. Boom. And I probably would have just stopped it here. I probably wouldn't have played into the third support. I think that would have been a little greedy. But honestly, if price showed you the, yeah, 100%. Let's go. No, no. Yeah, yeah. The reason why I'm not using the daily is because I want to show you something. Look at Zeta, for example. Yeah, yeah. Check, yeah. Check Zeta, for example, right? We got some retests going on at this area of resistance, at a close, daily close. I like to use the daily to see if there's a close, but look, check this out. You see how the blue box is all the way up here? And then you see how the daily candle stops right here? Look what happens when I get on my 4 hour. Because remember, extending trading hours. You can't see that on the daily. It's at 16 o'clock here. So the daily can, yeah, so the daily can just like literally just throw off things that don't need to be thrown off. But the 4 hour is going to show you extending trading hours. So I use the daily to see ultimate price action. So I use the daily to do like a full overview of the chart. If I like the chart, okay, I'm gonna play it. Okay, with Zeta here, I could see, okay, yeah, exactly. Like Zeta, I can come down, boom, I can see ultimate low. Market trended all of March and February for everything. So cool, ultimate low, maintain one low, and then higher lows being put in, and then major gap up, and then break and retest off this. And then, yeah, I like this. And I believe we'll go ahead and shoot up and gap fill up here, inshallah, back to kind of this resistance area over here. So, yeah, so it really just depends. Um, so, yeah, just use your daily for directions, and your 4 hour is going to be where you do all of your charting and everything. And then, boom. And let me go ahead and draw this example here, too. Gotcha. So cool. So take RTX too. Nice. So RTX, for example, boom. As you can see, supports work in a diagonal lane. If I see supports working with a diagonal sense, inshallah, I'm going to know that I'm going to be able to go ahead, take the first trend line break to the first area of support. So my take profits are going to be every tap of the trend line, because if price breaks the trend line, price wants to meet at one of these areas of supports, and then at one of these areas of supports, price might want to trickle back up, okay? But then it might want to break another area of support and maybe do it down here. Okay, and that's just going to go ahead and be that. So when a heavy area of support, especially on the trend line on the 4-hour, gets broken, then it's going to want to meet to the next area and try and bounce there and try and fill that. So RTX trend line here, boom. But same thing here. It's a lot of positive news coming into it, so it might want to see some new all-time highs. We saw price reversing here for Monday and Friday, so price literally stayed here for a whole week. So this level is very strong up here. So I go ahead and draw my trend line, draw it like this. And once price were to go ahead and get above the yellow, then I can go ahead and enter in for a long and catch the gap fill for the resistance side. So this is how I prepare for just a long or short. Yeah, no, I would long on the break of the yellow. Yeah, 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 yeah. My apologies. So yeah, break of the yellow. So yeah, I'll go ahead and get in there, and then break of the blue, I would get in for a short trade. Our first take profit would be this area of support down here. Gotcha. Mm, gotcha. So when you short, a lot of the times these areas of support, as you can see, once you see like these red candles, when you short, it's gonna happen within like 1 to 5 days. So when you short, you could do like a weekly. You could do 1 to 5 days, depending on your take profit. So, and what makes an A plus short setup is gonna be, and the market works like this. You should see support working in a diagonal way. So supports on your chart should just work in a diagonal way. So even if I draw all the way back here, draw from this one to these two major supports. So if you see major supports from a diagonal trend line, then you know that this is an extremely strong area for sure. Okay. So we have two major supports. Price decided to never dip down further from here. We dipped all the way from 78 to 100 pretty much from here. And then we dipped from 85 to 100. Okay. So the two heaviest major bounces right here. Okay. So I know if price were to break this area of resistance or the area of the trend line, then price is going to meet into the area of support, I meant to say. So if price were to break the trend line, I know this area of support, and so I want to get met. And I know that because I have two heavy areas of support in a diagonal sense. And this works on just multiple pairs. We pull up Baker. As you can see, trend line. You know, I go through all of these pairs and just scan. Boom, as you can see, diagonal. So when you see support working diagonally, that's a trend. So if the trend line gets broken, okay. So in this instance here, price decided to break. So even with here, price didn't dip down all the way to this area of support. Yeah, So this one right here may have not dipped down. So yeah, has some slight wicks here. So this one would have been a rejection. You can wait for the retest. Sometimes you won't get a retest. Yeah, sometimes it'll just blitz. Like it'll blitz so fast, like take profit will get hit in 1 second. Especially with a short. With a long, longs are a lot different. Longs you can like kind of do anything. Long as you can kind of do anything and you'll win. Like as long as you bought at like a pretty half decent place, you can pretty much do whatever and you'll win. But shorts, you do have to be just really, really specific. Um, and also with shorting too, if you didn't want to do trend line, like this is a mat here. So I like to draw the trend lines here too. Trend lines can also be used as dip down entries too. Like if you see price down in the trend line, it doesn't break it and it bounces and closes, you can use that as like a bottom entry too. That wouldn't be bad. So multiple ways. And shorting, you can really just either focus on areas of support on the trend line, and you could play break and retest too, exactly like you just said. So you could either trend line break into the support or wait for the support to be broken and then trade some break and retest down to like a certain level. Say if you wanted to take it like to the support. Just the thing with shorts, you can't be greedy. You can't be greedy. And especially with options, shorts, you make a lot of money because the contracts have like a lot of premium and stuff like that, especially when take profit is on its way to get hit quickly and you're playing like a weekly expiration. So shorts, you're gonna make a lot of money. So anyways, so yeah, with shorts, you can't be too greedy because price is just hunting for retest levels. So right here, price just hunted this resistance retest level. So this was a super easy and clean retest, break retest, and then price decided to go ahead and gap fill this resistance up here. Okay, so I can also see that this area of support works right here. Price already gapped and break and retest off of this area. So if price were to go ahead and break below this area of support, I would most likely be able to go ahead and just get it for a short breakout. And I should be able to take this to at least like, I'd say like right here to this area of resistance right here with the support. Okay, so boom. So price broken retest here. Let me know that the support is strong, especially when you see price bouncing heavily. So I see the support is strong. So boom. So if I wanted to, I could really just wait for the support to be broken on the 4-hour time frame. And then price might just dip straight down to like an area of resistance / support. So I would take it down to maybe like this area right here. So there's a tiny area of resistance with support right here. So I see price at the break, a mini break and retest right here, mini break retest. So I see price might want to dip down and retest this area right here. So wherever I see like mini break and retest, break, retest, and then we dip the up. So we have this resistance, dip down, then price broke above it. It's the second candle on the 4-hour came down, tested the resistance, and then blasted back up. So I know if price decides to break this area of support, then price should be able to just blast straight down into this area down here to 163, where it did the mini break and retest, because it might want to give a second gap fill and then blast back up. Okay, so this would be just some clean points here. Yeah, yeah, for real, for real. And yeah, and especially after I see heavy price action from this area with break and retest, yeah, so if price were to go ahead and break this area, I would go ahead and be able to just take this to the downside too. So shorting is going to be extremely easy too. So you can either do trend lines for re-entries like that, or you can just find heavy areas, especially break and retest supports I really like, where price decided to show me like clean break and retest. So I'll find a heavy area of support, say like here. The 24-hour, not the daily. I see. I actually have not. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. And okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll check it out for sure. The reason why like certain yeah, the reason why custom time frames though, why I stay away from it, is because exactly like you said, if you don't have it, then it's not what everyone else is seeing. And trading is kind of like a sheep herd game. So I like to be on what everyone else is seeing. So that's the only reason why I do like using the 4 hour instead of like the 12 hour stuff like that. There was times I played around using like the 2 day, 12 hour, certain things like that, 2 hours, but the 4 hour time frame, in my opinion, is very strong. I'll check out the 24 hour though, like right after this, for sure. And yeah, so we'll do one more example here while I'll talk about shorting. So shorting here, I like this a lot. This area of support have two tests already. Okay, two tests in this area of support. So if this gets broken, price will definitely just decimate itself and we'll probably head down. Don't be greedy because we're still in the 4 hours. Yeah, 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 for real. And yeah, I could just wait for price to go ahead and break that low. Two nice tests, two morning tests too. You can just eyeball 8:30 candles. I mean 9:30 candles too. That's what's really really cool. So I can pretty much see like which one is going to be a 9:30 candle. So that's a 9:30 candle. 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 This is a 9:30 candle. This is a 9:30 candle. Anytime I see a heavy wick off of a certain place, I can see this is a 9:30 candle right here, or a breakout of a certain key area. So as I can see, here's some super sauce too. So if I see 9:30 candles or 8 o'clock if I'm on the 4 hour, boom, as I can see, it broke out right in the morning. And then guess what? Another morning candle right in the retest area. Then we decided to blast. Then price came back down, gave another 9:30 candle in the retest area, and decided to blast back up. So options and stocks is so manipulated. So you're gonna see a whole bunch of just 9:30 candles reacting in the same area. So that's how you know an area is specifically strong too. So if I can see a 9:30 candle breaking out of a level, a 9:30 candle giving me a retest, and a 9:30 candle giving me a second retest, that's how I know it's a strong area. If it's a strong area, I should have a morning reaction, whether it be a breakout or a retest. If I have a 9:30 candle within a zone a few times, that's definitely a strong zone. So then my take profit ideally should be a 9:30 candle too. So my take profit is going to be down here because this is a 9:30 candle. So if I'm shorting, ideally my take profit should be somewhere at a 9:30 candle because price wants to retest these areas. So as you can see, 9:30 candle, real because yep, because everyone has to get their opportunity. Shares people can't have more of an advantage than options people. So this is why 9:30 is going to be imperative. It's going to be super duper special and it's going to be just yeah, important to make sure that we just notice these certain things. So 9:30 breakout, 9:30 retest, 9:30 retest again. This level is super strong. If this level gets broken, we're going straight down to like 35. Okay. So that's how you go ahead and play in a short breakout. So shorting is going to be just super duper easy. It's going to be not hard. And if, when the level breaks, you can go ahead and either get in and yeah. And for a short, you can either get in for a breakout or like you said, don't be afraid to wait for a retest too. Because it might give you a retest, and especially if it does, then people would definitely take that. Okay, but there's going to be times sometimes where it might just be like a quick breakout. But if you do get a close or a retest, that'll be even better. So, and when I'm shorting, I like to make sure that I'm playing supports that have multiple taps too, because I know that those are super strong areas of support. If a price taps from multiple areas and bounces from this multiple areas, then okay, we most likely we want to go down from there. Otherwise, we're probably just bullish. So we have a ribbon here. We have this diagonal line with this diagonal line. As you can see, price decided to, and you can, if you play trend line, you can wait for close too. As you can see, we had a slight trend line break. It didn't hold, ended up above it. But if price comes down here, gives us a close, then we most likely want to go down to this area of support right here, or this area of support too. One of these two areas price wants to go ahead and travel to. Okay. So this is why waiting for a close can be important too. Waiting for a close can be important. A lot of the times, you will sometimes even get a retest from the shorting. And I'm going to go ahead and do a back test here example and just find an example of like a short trend line working out here with the retest. Okay. Check here, for example. Yeah. No, you're good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gotcha. So this right here, the reason why I'm confident in this too. So if this price were to go ahead and get lower, especially under here, so you get quick at reading it from right to left. So from here, I can clearly see, okay, this support is here because of this resistance. Okay, so this is a strong area of support. If I see price getting underneath the break and retest support, then price clearly wants to come down and tap one of these 930 supports again. Okay. Yeah, no. This is what we're doing it for. I completely do understand. So yeah, that's why that's gonna go ahead and be that. Let me pull up FITB. And even with this here, take this example, this trend line here with these diagonal supports. Okay. As soon as the trend line got broken, boom. Then price decided to go ahead and do this. So you could set some time criteria. You could do like 30 minutes or like an hour if you're just on the 4 hour. So if you wanted to wait for like 30 minutes on the 4 hour underneath the trend line to enter, then go ahead. You could do something like that too. Because sometimes if you see here, like if you wait for a 4 hour close, you wouldn't have got an entry. Price would have just happened too quickly. Because if it breaks this trend line, it's gonna dump because it really wants to go to a discount area. So this would have just been a nice win here. Quick point with some size, low day expiration. Boom, catch that win. Okay, especially in heavy downtrends, you're gonna be able to just farm. But then as you can see, when market decides to start trending heavy here, say this trend line, say this trend line here. Okay, price bounced on here once, two. We didn't break this trend line for months. Okay, but the second we broke it, clip straight down. We met to this resistance, clip straight down. Soon as we broke the trend line. Okay. So even with this right here, for real, for real. And then boom. And then even with this recent one here, yeah, yeah, check here. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Yeah. For retest, yeah, yeah, yeah. Honestly, you can do that as well. Yeah, the break will be fine too, but if I were to play retest, I try not unless I'm drawing it like this, like unless price came down, tap the yellow, and then went up, I would play that retest. But if I'm shorting, I'm just gonna play break and retest literally properly. Okay, because I'm not gonna play trend line break and retest when break and retest to the short is literally this easy. Support turns into resistance, and if I don't see support turn into resistance this cleanly, this easily, it shouldn't be difficult. It should just be support get broken, turn into a resistance, and take it back down to where price decided to bounce back up. So I like to wait for a retest. Honestly, I don't encourage breakouts at all, actually. But yeah, this if I'm gonna play a short retest, I'm gonna wait for support to get broken, wait for price to come back up into it, and I could even wait for a close off the retest too if I wanted to. I don't even have to answer immediately. Wait for a close off the retest, and I could take it back down if I'm in a downtrend. And yeah, this is how I would just farm the downtrend. And there's so many stocks to play. So if market were to be like right now, we're in a heavy uptrend. So say you just were to do this, for example, price breaking up, it's on its way up to this resistance up here too. And as you can see, one thing I did notice too, once price breaks these trend lines, news likes to come out from hold to buy. Yeah, exactly. This is what I noticed too with these trend lines. So this is how I know this is how people are playing. So same thing with lift too. If price were to come down and like tap this, give me a close and then buy, okay, that could be an entry off the trend line. But the trend line entry a lot of the times is literally just going to be some like break and retest because off the trend line right there would just be the resistance right here, which is also the support right here. So it's not like doing too much other than looking at things logically, but it does help. Okay. So boom. But if I'm in a proper downtrend, all right, if I'm in a proper downtrend within the market, say like right here, in shorting, we have to make sure we're playing precisely. Shorting, it's going to be a couple of criterias too. We want to make sure when we're shorting. So on certain structure, we want to make sure that either support is turning into resistance cleanly, which sometimes won't happen cleanly, but you can ideally wait for like two areas of old resistance and support to line up. Shorting can be tricky. Shorting can be hard, but you really do got to just wait for the proper setup. Because shorting can be difficult. It's not the easiest thing to do, but when you can plan a decent short, it can be nice. So you have to really be exact with your short setups. You can't just be taking anything on the block because you can burn money, especially after making money in a good bull market. You can burn money shorting wrong. So really just take your time with these setups when it comes to shorting and just don't rush anything. Okay, so and you're not going to always get instances of support turning into resistance, etc. Sometimes it might be resistance to the left turning into resistance again, which is a lot of time what's going to happen. So this model right here, right? So I can see this support here, and a lot of the times that it's going to be right because there should be some old resistance matching too. It's going to do clean support into resistance a lot of the time when there's no price action. But say an instance like this, where price decides to just gum up and then bounce from this tiny little area, like what resistance did it do off of? Like, so it's just like there's like tiny ones right here, but no major resistance it didn't do it off of. And then price never pretty much like went back down here again. It took a long time. And then pretty much bounced from the same area low key again too. So, okay. Yeah, you really just have to pay attention when it comes to your shorts. And if market is just bullish, then it's also just purely just bullish. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the Bitcoin chart, for example. Bitcoin took much time to buy. Okay. So even Bitcoin, for example, if I wanted to short this, like shorting this would just be, yeah, you know, and it's, yeah, yeah. And the reason too, like, look, yeah, and you'll get answers. You just have to look really precisely. Look at that resistance right here. And then look at this area of support. So remember, like I said, you'll get it in order to short. If price action isn't fresh, sometimes it'll be clean support into resistance. Sometimes it'll be this, but a lot of the times it's going to be reflective based off of this. Like this is going to give you your answer. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not. That's not realistic. So that's why shorting is more tricky. But shorting is still possible. But say something like that. If I see heavy resistance over here to the left, and then I see this support working out, if I see price get underneath this area and then give me like a retest, I'd probably be able to go ahead and short down here and take that down. So I wonder if I'd be able to do something like this potentially. And even with this, you see why this is retesting over here because of this area of resistance here. So this is just simple. Okay, but I see resistance over here to the left. So if you're going to short, let me pull up Disney, for example. If you're going to short, make sure that you definitely do have resistance to your left. That's going to be really, really important. Disney, we're almost at all-time highs, actually. We are all-time highs, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Disney, oh, never mind, I lied. So Disney, so this is that's why we get on our daily, because tunnel vision on the 4 hour can be bad. So boom. So even if I wanted to short here, well, this is just a bullish uptrend. Honestly, I would just look for bullish break and retest personally. Yeah, no, you're fine. No, it's all fine. Yeah, no, it's happening. It's growing. And boom. So even if I were to look for a re-entry here on Disney, I would just wait for one of these areas of resistances to just give me a clean re-entry. So I do have this one here. This one's a little close. Um, and there's gonna be like some support areas too where I could potentially buy at again. Maybe here might give me a re-entry, maybe here. Okay, so for Disney here, I can clearly see that price wants to go ahead and go higher and meet up to like this area of resistance here first, of course. And then after this area of resistance, it looks like price wants to come up to this area of resistance next. Okay, where we got some break and retest off something. And the price headed down. Okay, so if price were to break this, then we want to go ahead and head up here. Okay, so before I want to go ahead and buy, I do want to just wait for price to come back to one of these like strong areas here and just show me some break and retest. And then I can go ahead and take it back up. Some indicators too can be useful. Like on the daily, like if you wanted to buy certain things off of like 21 or 50 EMA, like sometimes that can be decent or useful too, depending on certain trends. So yeah, so lots of 9 EMA daily entries here, and then a wick straight off. So that can help sometimes too, but you don't really need indicators too much, and sometimes that can just hurt your vision and like make you lose track. So Dell here, I see how price decided to get to this area of resistance. Okay, so we got to this area of resistance here. Boom, ended up breaking above it. So now I see price wants to most likely chase up here. Okay, so if price were to like come down, I see already got one retest area. Give me like a retest off of like down here. Okay, I'd potentially be interested in buying again at around like 116 areas. Or if I turn on my EMAs here, if I got a 9 EMA entry at like some of these resistances, potentially I'd be interested in buying again too. Ultimately, I know price wants to go ahead and travel all the way up here to this 145 area. Yeah. And once we know the ultimate just say so of the trend, market's just a lot easier to read. We can just literally just play and hold these trades and catch the entire move. Same thing with FITB. I saw that price decided to want to go ahead. And as you can see, we did get some daily break and retest off of here. This was just super duper clean. FITB is a good buy right now. Boom. So I could see that price decided to break and retest off of the resistance right here. Broke, retest on the daily and a close. So I see that price clearly wants to go ahead and try and gap fill. It's around this 43, 44 area. And I could also get my same answer too by drawing my trend line like this. So yeah, same thing. You could either break and retest or trend line. And yeah, even right here, I had 2 tests of the support area right here. Support, and then price bounced up. Boom, break. Then we had a retest, and price wants to come up here, fill in this resistance gap up here too. Okay. And then if I wanted a short, and then boom, I have these key strong levels here. So now that I see that the support works, I could take it to take profit up here. And this could also be a new short entry as well too, since I know this support works. And yeah, I know if price breaks this area right here, then we'll want to go ahead and short down to the downside, most likely, inshallah. Well, yeah, the price broke off the resistance here. Price already broke and then gave me a retest candle and then closed above on the daily. So honestly, I could get in for a long right now. Just take the rest up here. Catch these 2 points. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is an uptrend. If I wanted to short, I could short this. Since I know that support works off the break and retest, I could short here and maybe take it down to this resistance, take profit. Or these supports down here. But yeah, but otherwise, I'm reading the trend, break, retest, and gave me daily closes above it. No such thing as a late entry, in my opinion. Boom. Let me just take the rest of the move. This is more confirmation for me, honestly. Get in and catch the rest of the move. 3 points left around. or we have around, let me see, around 2.50 points left. So even right here for a map, even if I'm just on daily here, had some clean break and retest here. So a mat is clearly bullish, higher lows being created. I see that price wants to come up here and test this. Okay. This is just some random retest here. Okay. So now I see that price wants to go ahead and give me another tap of this. Okay. So boom. So I can clearly see here, price wants to go ahead and just keep trending, keep giving me higher lows, higher lows. So I'm like, okay, let me go ahead. I could just most likely just wait for a pullback here. So I'm going to my 4-hour time frame, see if I got some break and retest here. Did I get it at 9 o'clock? Okay, cool. Check it. Guess what? 9 o'clock breakout here, right? 9 o'clock breakout. 9 o'clock breakout. Okay, boom. Is this a 9 o'clock short? 9 o'clock short around. Okay. And we have a 9 o'clock breakout. And same thing with over here, 9 o'clock breakout, but then we reject it. So price, if price wants to 9 o'clock breakout right here, we most likely, inshallah, God wills, will retest like off of here. So if price gives me a retest off of here, I will buy and then easily go ahead and take that back up. So if price were to go ahead and short, which it might soon, fall down, give me entry right here, and then take break and retest all the way up to like 200. Okay, so multiple examples for multiple setups, and yeah, that's gonna go ahead and be that.